Good morning, everyone. Oh boy, it's like 6:45. I'm obviously just waking up. I still have my man voice on. I am 14 DPO today, so I'm going to take a pregnancy test. I last tested 2 days ago and it was negative, so I am expecting this to also be negative. And oh, if it is negative, like I am anticipating, then we will get the ball rolling on getting our ducks in a row to start our IVF cycle. So I'll update you about that a little bit later. Okay. Okay, guys. Today I am going to be testing with a first signal, which is the Target Chibi brand. I also have a first response if I decide that I'm going to use that. I figure, that I will wait on the first response. If this is positive, then I would take the first response. So, with this pregnancy test, they give you this cute little dropper, and you just have to drop in 3 drops of urine. 1, 2, 3. And it is, you can see it's processing. So I'm gonna cover it and then come back in about 5 minutes. Okay, so while that is processing, I thought I would just give a quick update and maybe a little dose of real talk, because guys, I have been struggling the last few days. So in my last video I said that we met up with our new reproductive endocrinologist, which would have been a week ago yesterday, and that we had decided to move forward with IVF, which we are obviously still doing that. But so I called our insurance just to get like a better idea of what our out-of-pocket responsibility is going to be for an IVF cycle. And basically, so since we have this $25,000 lifetime max on infertility treatments, meaning that's how much we have to use and we choose how we want to use it, they pay everything out excuse me, they pay everything out at 100%, which I mean, and I asked this lady like 3 different times, I'm like, am I hearing you right? So like essentially we should have no out-of-pocket expense as long as everything is billed, like everything that we do, as long as it's billed as infertility, we won't have to pay anything, including the medications, which is like a huge deal. So I called and talked to one of the nurses at the practice, who is one of the IVF coordinators, and she was super nice. So I just kind of talked to her about our game plan, specifically, when our target start date was, but if there was anything we could get going and done off of the checklist of things we have to do before we can start. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do the Clomid challenge test, which I will start. So if this pregnancy test is negative, then I will stop my progesterone. Theoretically, I took my last progesterone suppository last night, so my period will come probably on Thursday. So I would go in Thursday or Friday for a follicle scan, which is where they take a really good look at my ovaries and count how many antral follicles, meaning little follicles that aren't like mature. Count how many are in each ovary, and then they'll draw a follicle stimulating hormone level, an estrogen level. I kind of want them to draw an LH level, but I can talk about that later. Just to kind of get a baseline to see where I'm at. And then I will take Clomid on cycle days 5 through 9, and then go back in on cycle day 10 for more labs. And I'm not sure if they'll do another scan of my ovaries to see if anything has developed or not. And that's just going to kind of give them an idea of how my ovaries are going to respond to stimming. So that they can choose an appropriate protocol for me, because, women have infertility for lots and lots of different reasons. And it's really imperative that the appropriate protocol for stimming and suppressing, is chosen to give you the most benefit out of a cycle. So the last few days, I'm like gung-ho about doing all of the things that I can do on my side to make sure that this is a successful cycle. So I have started reading the book, It Starts with the Egg, which has a lot of really, really good information, geared towards maximizing your egg quality prior to an IVF cycle. I'm still exercising. I've been on keto for over 2 months now. But for whatever reason, it really kind of hit me the last few days, and my anxiety has just kind of been off the hook. I'm not gonna lie. I just feel like there is so much pressure, and, It Starts with the Egg. It's a great book. I'm 35 pages in, but it is stressing me the hell out. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm like, I need this information. It's good information to have, but it's so stressing me out. So Chris, being the wonderful husband that he is going to read it for me and give me the bullet points, which, initially I was like, no, I'll read it. But then I'm like, why not let him help? It is really hard for me to kind of let people know when I'm struggling. I like to put on a brave face and just keep barreling through. So it's a big step for me to kind of allow him to take this responsibility off of my plate. So he's going to have 5 days off for the 4th of July. So I think he's going to read it for me. And yeah. And, it's no small feat that we're undertaking. So I know that the way I'm feeling is totally valid and normal. So I'm trying to think of things that I can do to mitigate this anxiety, because it's I can't sleep. I just kind of feel awful all the time. My sleeping is, sleep is very, very important. And it's been pretty bad. I've been having terrible headaches, which I hadn't had really any headaches for a couple of months. So I know that my body and my brain are kind of struggling right now. So I think over these next 2 months, really the only things I'm going to focus on are continuing eating the way that I'm eating, maybe even cutting out a little bit of dairy, as much as I don't want to. I know dairy can be very inflammatory producing, which is not good for an IVF cycle. So maybe cutting back on dairy, not cutting out, cutting back. And exercising. I have found honestly exercising to be a pretty good outlet for me, which is great. That's where I'm at with the exercising. I think I'm gonna stop tracking. So I track all of my fertility stuff through an app called Fertility Friend, which I absolutely loved, and I have met a lot of really, really amazing women on the forums. I've been on other forums, like fertility forums before, and they were kind of cutthroat. There's a lot of good information in them and a lot of really, really smart up-to-date women, but they could also be a little bit cutthroat. And I found the forums on Fertility Friend to just be very, very welcoming and supportive. And respectful. That's the biggest thing. Very respectful. So I've met a lot of really good ladies on those forums that, you know, we keep in touch, you know, outside of the forums. So I think I'm going to stop tracking everything. I'm not going to be doing OPKs. I don't even think we're going to actually try to conceive. You know, originally I had said in these 2 months we can still try to conceive, but I don't even think I want to do that. I think that I really just want to put all of my mental energy towards like getting my mind and body right. I think that's the most important thing right now. And it'll be a nice break. So, that's where, it's kind of where we're at right now. I kind of like doing this update sitting on the toilet. My pants are pulled up and the lid is down, okay? So I'm not like literally sitting on the shitter, but I'm sitting on the shitter. It's actually pretty comfy. Yeah, maybe I'll do this all the time. Anyway, whatever. It's been like almost 10 minutes. I'm gonna look at this pregnancy test. There's a line. It's so faint. And I don't know that you guys will be able to see it. But there's a line there. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take my first response. Okay guys, so I apologize, I had to take my hoodie off because I immediately started flop sweating. And I took a picture, and you can see it in the picture. It's a very, very faint line, but I don't have to squint at it. I don't know if, yeah, I think you guys can kind of see it. It's very faint. And it's also entirely possible. So I said that I'm 14 DPO. I'm either 13 or 14 DPO. My actual ovulation day was a little bit questionable. I'm at a complete loss for words. It's the absolute last thing that I expected to see this morning. kind of can't believe it. I mean, you know, even just yesterday to myself and when I was on the forums, I was just like, you know, that I really kind of had high hopes for this cycle because, you know, our timing was great. Everything looks great. I don't think I've updated you guys, but my progesterone, my 7-DPO progesterone level was 16.7, which was the highest it has ever been. So I was really, really excited. So then, of course, you know, you start early testing and you get your negatives. And so obviously I was pretty discouraged and disappointed. I was just like, I just don't understand, you know, doing all of the things right. Every doctor I go to is like, yeah, you're doing everything you should be doing. Why isn't it working? Which, you know, when you've struggled with infertility for as long as we have, it's just kind of part of it. You definitely go in and out of a lot of emotions. So yeah, I'm sorry, I feel like this is definitely going to be a lot of rambling because I cannot believe this. I can't. And I know it's not a false positive. I know that there's definitely a line there, albeit very faint. And of course, you know, I can't help but feel hesitant, terrified. I would have hoped that the line would have been a little bit darker, maybe, by this point in my luteal phase. And of course, you know, you can't, my mind automatically goes to a chemical pregnancy like I had before. Which sucks because a moment like this, I feel like, should be just unadulterated joy. And infertility really robs you of getting to have that. Which kind of sucks, but maybe that's why I've been crying so much. I'm not gonna lie, like, I have been a hot mess these last few days. Just an absolute fucking mess. Excuse my language. And I just, you know, I have felt just so bad and anxious and just kind of like constantly feeling like my heart is fluttering all the time and ain't that some shit. Okay, well, it's been 5 minutes, so I'm gonna look at this first response. I don't want to look at it. Well, the first response doesn't show anything. Hang on, 1 minute.